What happens when prejudice meets resilience? In a bustling airport, a racist cop confronts a humble Filipino man unaware of the powerful truth behind his story. This encounter sparks outrage, inspires millions, and becomes a symbol of hope. The international airport was alive with activity, a constant symphony of rolling luggage, distant chatter, and automated announcements echoing through the vast terminal. Captain Rafi del Rosario navigated the bustling crowd with ease, his casual attire, jeans, and a polo shirt, allowing him to blend in among the throngs of travelers. His unassuming demeanor belied the decades of experience he carried as a Filipino-American pilot. For his pioneering contributions to aviation safety, he was en route to an aviation summit where he was scheduled to present on cutting-edge safety protocols he had helped develop. It was just another day for Rafi, though the weight of his achievements rested lightly on his shoulders. As Rafi approached a restricted area leading to the private lounge for airline crew, he was stopped by Officer Liam Carter, an airport security officer stationed near the access point. Carter, a burly man with a hardened demeanor, had earned a reputation among airport staff for his frequent profiling of travelers who didn't fit his narrow idea of who belonged. Spotting Rafi, Carter's gaze immediately sharpened, suspicion clouding his judgment. "Excuse me, sir," Carter said, stepping in front of Rafi. "This is a restricted area. Passengers aren't allowed beyond this point." Rafi offered a polite smile and reached for his ID. "I'm a pilot, officer. I'm heading to the crew lounge before my flight." Carter snorted, his eyes scanning Rafi from head to toe. "A pilot? Sure you are. Let me see that ID." Rafi handed over his identification, maintaining his composure despite Carter's dismissive tone. Carter glanced at the badge briefly, then shook his head. "This doesn't look legit. Where'd you get it? Some website?" A small crowd began to gather, curious onlookers drawn by the escalating tension. Rafi took a deep breath, his years of professional discipline kicking in. "Officer, I assure you my ID is valid. I've been flying for verification. You can contact airport administration." Carter smirked, his condescension thinly veiled. "Flying for decades, huh? Maybe paper airplanes. You don't look like any pilot I've ever seen." The crowd murmured, some pulling out their phones to record the interaction. Among was Laura Stevens, a prominent aviation journalist who had just disembarked from a flight. She recognized Rafi immediately. His face and name had graced the cover of several industry publications she had authored. Her brow furrowed as she approached, her journalist instincts kicking in. "What's going on here?" Laura asked, her voice cutting through the tension. Carter turned to her, his irritation evident. "Just handling a security situation, ma'am. This man claims he's a pilot, but his story doesn't add up." Laura's eyes widened as she looked at Rafi, then back at Carter. "Claims? Do you have any idea what this is?" Carter raised an eyebrow, his skepticism undeterred. "Should I?" "This is Captain Rafael del Rosario," Laura said, her tone sharp. "He's one of the most respected figures in aviation. He's revolutionized safety protocols and received numerous awards for his contributions to the industry. If anyone belongs here, it's him." The onlookers gasped, their murmurs growing louder as Laura's words spread through the crowd. Carter's expression faltered, his confidence wavering. "That's not what his ID looked like to me," he muttered defensively. Laura crossed her arms, her gaze piercing. "Maybe that's because you didn't bother to check properly. Or maybe you assumed he couldn't be who he said he was because of how he looks. Either way, you owe him an apology. If you find these stories inspiring and they motivate you to take action, please comment 9. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time." Before Carter could respond, Airport Director Martin Hayes arrived, alerted by the commotion. Spotting Rafi, Hayes' face lit up with recognition. "Captain Del Rosario, my apologies for the delay. Is everything all right?" Rafi nodded, though his expression was tinged with frustration. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding, Director. Officer Carter here didn't think I looked the part of a pilot." Hayes' face darkened as he turned to Carter. "Officer, Captain Del Rosario is a guest of honor at today's aviation summit. He's not only a pilot but a pioneer in the field. I expect better judgment from my staff." Carter stammered, his bravado crumbling under Hayes' stern gaze. I didn't know." "That's the problem," Laura interjected. "You didn't bother to find out before jumping to conclusions." The videos recorded by bystanders quickly found their way to social media, sparking a firestorm of outrage. Hashtags like Respect Shrafi and End Racial Profiling trended within hours, drawing attention to the incident from around the globe. News outlets picked up the story, amplifying its reach. and sparking a broader conversation about the biases faced by professionals of diverse backgrounds. Rafi, though shaken by the experience, refused to let it overshadow his purpose at the aviation summit. Later that day, he stood before a packed audience of industry leaders, his confidence undiminished. He spoke passionately about innovation, safety, and the importance of fostering inclusivity within the aviation field. Today's skies are shared by people from every corner of the world, Rafi said, his voice steady. If we are to navigate them safely and successfully, we must recognize and value the contributions of all individuals, regardless of their background or appearance. Bias has no place in our industry or any industry. The audience erupted into thunderous applause, rising in unison for a standing ovation that seemed to stretch endlessly, a tribute to the man who had just inspired them all. Among the crowd stood Laura, her face glowing with pride, as she captured the electrifying moment for her article. Knowing it was more than just a story, it was history in the making. Elsewhere, Officer Carter sat alone in the break room, the event coverage flickering across the television screen. His expression was a complex blend of shame and self-reflection, each replay of his encounter with Rafi a mirror held to his own biases. The airport administration had swiftly suspended him, requiring him to attend cultural sensitivity and professional conduct training, a necessary step toward accountability, though the weight of his actions lingered heavily. As the summit drew to a close, Rafi was surrounded by passengers and colleagues, their words of admiration and gratitude echoing the sentiments of a global audience. What had begun as a day tainted by prejudice had transformed into a powerful reaffirmation of his mission to dismantle barriers, foster inclusivity, and inspire meaningful change, not just in aviation, but in the hearts and minds of all who witnessed his resilience. Rafi's story resonated far beyond the terminal walls, becoming a rallying cry for progress and a symbol of triumph over adversity. His legacy as a trailblazing aviation pioneer is thinner than ever, illuminating a path for future generations. In his calm yet determined demeanor, Rafi proved that courage and integrity are the most enduring wings of all, a beacon of hope that will forever light the skies.